Good day, everyone. This is the report of Group 10. It's all about the material self and economic self. I am Joliet Sanyoza with my partner, Renato Cuenco, your reporters for today. The material self and economic self. Material self refers to all of the physical elements that reflect who a person is, which includes his or her body, possessions, and home. Materialism refers to the theory of belief that nothing exists except matter, its movements and its modifications, the theory or belief that consciousness and will are wholly due to material agency, a tendency to consider material possessions and physical comfort as more important than spiritual values. We are living in a world of sale and shopping spree. We are given a wide array of spoon and fork to owning a restaurant. Almost everywhere, including the digital space, we can find promotions and product purchase. Product advertisements are suggestive of making us feel better or look good. Part of us wants to have that product. What makes us want to have and already possess is related to ourselves. According to Belk 1988 stated that we regard our possessions as part of ourselves. We are what we have and what we are possess. Our wanting to have and possess has a connection with another aspect of the self and the self material. In this lesson, what to expect. At the end of this lesson, the student is expected to define material self, describe how material self affects a person, and explain the relationship between possessions and the self. We are what we have. People had a material self. In the other words of William James, the Harvard psychologist and giant of the American intellectual scene in the late 19th century. According to James, the material self is about our bodies, family, and reputation, but also clothes and his house, his lands and horses, and yacht and bank account. If they are grown, their owners felt triumphant. If they faded, people felt a part of themselves was dying. We are deeply affected by these things because we have put much investment of ourselves to them. The material self is constituted by our bodies, clothes, immediate family, and home. It is to these things that we are most deeply affected because of our investments of self within these things. The innermost part of our material self is our body. Intentionally, we are investing in our body. We are directly attached to this commodity that we cannot live without. We strive hard to make sure that this body functions well and good. This is influenced by the philosophy of dress by Hermann Lotze. James believed that clothing is an essential part of the material self. Clothing is a form of self-expression. We choose and wear clothes that reflects ourselves. The possession, what we really have tells something about who we are, our self-concept, our past, and even our future. There is a connection between wealth and well-being, a belief that feds what Juliet Score 1998 calls the cycle of work and spend. Work more to buy more. The level of consumption is set mainly by people's choice about how much to work and therefore how much income to earn. The individual chooses between hours at work, which yield income, and leisure, a good in itself but a costly one because it entails foregoing income. And according to Curtis 2017, manifested that cash can serious bearing on one's belief regarding the way a person views himself, hers or herself. The following are evidences behind the idea that money truly can change people. The first is social and business value. By recognizing a task's social value, a person sees it as a worthy investment of time and a part of his or her social duty, and he or she is usually happy to help out. When money is offered as the motivation, however, people then start thinking less of the social aspect and more about the business value. The next one is self-sufficiency and service. Those who are conscious of money typically strive to be more self-sufficient than those for whom money is not a priority. When given a very difficult and even impossible task, with instructions that help was available, it was the money-related group that seemed the most intent on going the job than alone. Even when it was not possible to finish the task solo, it only means that money-conscious individuals are more self-sufficient than their peers, particularly when money is made the focus. Next is the self-view. The amount one earns could have an effect on how he or she view both himself or herself and others. The wealthiest people are those with the deepest sense of class essentialism. The idea that differences between classes are based upon identity and genetics rather than circumstance. Poor people tend to believe that social class was not related to genes, that essentially anyone can be rich and anyone can be poor. Rich people were more likely to believe that wealth was part of genes and identity, that they were entitled to wealth based upon their personal circumstances and actions. Then, ethics. Those who perceive themselves to be in a higher class were the most likely to engage in unethical behavior, particularly when a symbol of wealth was introduced, such as cutting off a pedestrian when in a luxury car. Self-interest maximization is an idea that suggests those who have the most money or occupy high class are more likely to take a "what's in it for me" attitude. The last is addictions. Many addictions begin because a person gets a positive response from a certain type of behavior, whether it's a family feeling that one gets from shopping or a thrill that comes from gambling, Actively seeking out the behavior again and again for the same outcome can trigger an addiction. This is called behavioral or process addiction, a compulsive behavior not motivated by dependency on an addictive substance but rather by a process that leads to a seemingly positive outcome. Earning money can be addictive for some individuals. That high of a big check or a well-padded savings account can become the sole purpose of a wealth searcher's life. Anyone? There's a question? That's all our report, and thank you very much.